Welcome back to San Francisco. I have a special Worlds episode here of Market Research where I'm talking to four players that all played in Worlds. I have three players from the Bay Area and one player from LA. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to introduce Andrew. So Andrew, what decks did you play?
Ew. I played Gabriel, Santiago, and Blue Sun.
All right. And Wes, how about you?
I played Kate and HB Engineering the Future.
And those were some interesting decks that we'll definitely dig into in a little bit. Calvin, what did you play?
I played Andromeda and an NEH deck that featured a single Jackson Howard.
Oh,
Edgy.
risky play there.
I thought it was pretty classy.
Yeah, sure. Just one. He's a unique individual. He only need one. And finally, we have John. John Bean from LA.
Way down here.
Downtown.
I played Kate, and I was also part of the problem playing NEH.
As was I. I was NEH and Gabe. So a lot of similarities here. Wes perhaps being the only unique one. I guess Blue Sun was unique. John was ranked 7 in Swiss, so he made it to top 16. The rest of us got close, but not close enough.
West Coast is the best coast. We did good.
Yeah, we all I think all of us did pretty good. We also had another player with us, Noah, who's not available right now for this call, but he also did pretty well.
Yeah, Noah played NEH as well and Andromeda.
Yep. Surprise!
I'm shocked.
So let's talk a little bit more about the deck choices. So first of all, Andrew, I know you were playing Doppelganger security testing, right?
Yeah, I played Doppelganger, Security Testing, Bank Job, Weird Gabe.
Right. And this was the deck that I came to as well. This seemed like the right deck for the meta, right?
Yeah, and I think it's so. I mean, the main reason that I went with that choice was Gabe on his own can really keep up with NEH pretty well in terms of speed, but then I figured that RP was going to be a pretty big pick. So things like Doppelganger, Bank Job, Security Testing that allow you to get money and do what you want to do, i.e. make a run on a remote server. That deck featured that ability to be able to do both of those things.
And how did you feel that worked in practice in Worlds?
Pretty good. So I played one RP deck, and it was, to be honest, it was probably my easiest game. It was very smooth. I just needed to play at a consistent rate. I was able to get my money, do what I wanted, and it worked out really well.
And did any of you other guys play a Doppelganger deck? Was this something that you guys saw?
I cut Doppelganger from my Kate deck, remember?
Really?
Yeah, I remember I had it for regionals. I loved it.
I didn't play you, no.
Did you?
For
You had
regionals?
to,
For Gen Con. For Gen Con.
Oh, okay.
Gen Con. No, I didn't see any Doppelganger in my play.
Right.
Yeah, there.
So yeah, my feelings on it, it was just like a little bit too much to all come together at the same time. Like maybe, I only had 2 Doppelganger in my deck, so maybe that was a factor. But the amount of times that I was able to play Doppelganger and a security testing and like maybe a bank job, I don't know if that ever happened. Just like, my games, I played 4 Near Earth Hub, and all those games were super fast. I just didn't have time for any of that kind of stuff. I think Desperado would have been a better choice in the games I played.
Yeah, I think the only note to add to mine is I also run 2 quality times, so that burst of cards to get what I want is very, very helpful.
Right, I did what's the special, or not special order, the express delivery. Yeah, I did express delivery for those slots, and those were good. Maybe quality time would have been better. So Wes, let's talk about your decks for a little bit, because why don't you explain a little more detail what you had, especially on the corp side.
All right. I can do the runner first because that's short.
Okay, sure.
So I used to be just a straight criminal player. I played criminal most of my entire Netrunner time. And then the week before Gen Con, I was really, really sick of playing these RP decks with low-cost ice that cost 1,000 credits to go through. So I wanted Parasites and started playing a Parasite Andromeda deck. And then I decided if I'm going to play Parasites, I might as well just go all in and play Kate. So the week before Gen Con, I switched up to Kate, played that through Gen Con, and then kind of stuck with it. And it was great until they started releasing all these 3-cost ice, mainly Architect, and people start playing Architect and Wall of Static and these awkward strength ice. And all of a sudden, Ottman, as a primary breaker, I just played 3 Ottman. It was just really kind of clunky and awkward compared to how I had been. And so the night before Worlds, or actually the night before the winter tournament, I believe. I dropped 3 Outman, 3 Clone Chip, my both Parasites, basically that entire core. I left the Procon prepaid Lucky Find Econ in, but took out the entire program core and switched for Zool, Mimic, Corroder, left the Data Suckers, and then played Tinkering also to deal with like only finding 2 of the breakers or 1 of the breakers. And I was worried about speed at first, but it turned out that it actually could get things out extremely quickly. And with Tinkering, anytime that a corp saw just the code gate breaker and would install advance, like ICE agenda advance, there were a lot of times that I was able just to like tinker and run and steal the APD.
That's the Shaper inside job right there.
Right. It was amazing. Or maybe I had a game against HB with Ichi 1, and I had no Sentry Breaker, but I could play Tinker, Indexing, and Maker's Eye and steal 5 points just because of Tinkering.
I remember one game where Tinker backfired on you a couple times. Do you want to talk about that, or are you still repressing
All right. It didn't backfire exactly. So
Yeah.
it was 6th round. I was at the table 4 with Zach Cavus, who ended up being 5th, I think, overall.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. He's amazing. And so I've only got a Mimic out, and I've got some Data Sucker tokens. I'm doing okay. But he's got, he's getting some servers and stuff, playing NEH, and I draw a bunch of cards. I think I played like 2 diesels in a row or something, trying to find another breaker or an SMC. Don't get it. And end up keeping a hand that's 3 Maker's Eye and 2 Tinkering, thinking I've got money, I've got my breaker, I'm good, we're set, cool. Next turn, I tinker the Iceland R&D, Maker's Eye, and he reses Lotus Field. And I was like, awesome, great. Can't lower the strength, can't break it, cool.
Mimic's not getting through that.
Yeah, Mimic's not getting through that. So something else happens. On his next turn, he installs an Iceland remote, puts a card in it, and I'm like, all right, I got this. I still got my Tinkering. I tinker it.
Was this match point, or was it close to match point?
It was close. I think I might have had. I had a couple, either
Right.
2, somewhere between 2 and 4 points. He had 3 to 5.
I see. Okay, yeah, continue.
So he does that, and then I tinker and run the remote, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't. There's no way he knows I have 2 of these this early. And he reses the second Lotus Field on the remote.
Unbelievable.
And it was the only time in the entire tournament where I was just completely screwed on breakers. After the match, he blew me away, like just smashed me. After the match, we flipped it over, and the bottom 8 cards had all 3 SMCs and my Corroder. It was a rough time.
But I mean, almost that was like basically the only card at that point that was going to stop you, because you had Data Suckers,
yeah.
right?
Any other card.
You would have hit the
Actually,
Maker's Eye, and you would
any
have
other
gotten
ice.
into the remote. Yeah.
Any other ice in the game.
I was
I would've
watching
been
that game, and I just couldn't believe it. When he res both of those fields, it's like, oh my god, it's the
Yeah.
only thing.
Anything else. So that was that game. On the Corp side, I was playing a really weird HB deck that started out as a joke. I wanted to play Toy Box because I got it in a draft one time. And I was like, all right, let's make an HB deck with Toy Box. And it started out as a Foundry deck, and I put all the next dice in, and that just didn't work so well. And so I switched it to Engineering the Future and was like, hey, if I'm playing HB, Fast Advance is cool. I'll put Sansan in because you already got Biotic. And then I was like, well, we got this Domestic Sleepers card. I could play Archer also. And so I put in Archers, and then I thought, well, I need more big ice. So I put in Wotan. And so the end list was all the next ice, and then 3 Architects that I put in once it was released instead of interns. I had 2 Sansan, I had 3 Archers, 2 Wotan, 3 Toy Box.
Toy Box.
Yeah, Toy Box it's amazing because it's for trash. Nobody wants to trash it, but you
Right.
have to trash it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to trash it. I had a couple games where someone would see it in R&D and they wouldn't trash it, and the next turn I would just install
Wow.
and drop it in.
And they had the money to trash it.
Yeah, they could have. They had like 6, 8 credits, and then if there's like a next bronze, they can't get it that turn. So you res Wotan on R&D, and then R&D is just done. You're not going to R&D for a while.
You've just, you spent your turn to just lock down a server forever.
Yeah. And I could probably be a lot better about it. I used it almost indiscriminately. Like if the big ice happened to be on the remote, I put the ice there and rested. If it happened to be on HQ, I'd res the ice on HQ.
And how did that
There's
deck do for you during the day?
Over the course of the Winter Tournament and Worlds, it lost one game. I was extremely happy with it. Yeah, it lost to Zachary Kavis. It gets agenda flooded a lot, but I usually can score a couple agendas early, and then I'll kind of just build board state for a while. And then once they can't get in quickly or enough, I can just score it at the remote, either with fast events or with installing an agenda one turn and scoring it the next, and just dropping them in like 3 turns. I was really happy with it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's great. We're gonna have to put the deck list up in the YouTube comments.
Yeah,
if people want to play around with that one. Calvin, do you were playing Andromeda and Nearth Hub? How did those work out for you?
Both decks went 4 and 3.
Which I should point out, that's actually, like, in terms of the runner, that's respectable.
Yeah.
Like, the people that were in the top 16, I'm guessing their runner score was about that.
Right. I mean, the Andromeda build was basically the Canadian Nationals update. So Elad, had done very well at Canadian Nationals. And so I tried the deck out at a couple of tournaments locally here, and it did really well. It lost 2 games in a 22-person tournament where I made it to the final table, ended up coming in 3rd, but it was just really solid. It had 2 of each breaker, basically, and it was really, really fast. And I tweaked it a little by putting Bank Job in, and it was just really rich and pretty fast. A lot of success with it. So when Elad updated it for Worlds, I was on the fence about whether or not I wanted to change it because he had taken out the whole redundant breaker system to put in some other things. I can't remember what it was. And I really wanted to leave the the redundant breaker thing in because it was really effective. My only issue with it was once I put down Passport, which was what was in it besides Yogg, I don't know. If you're playing against someone who's smart, then they just close up a remote that you can't get into with a code gates, and you're just kind of locked out. So if you can't pound on HQ or R&D, then you're going to lose games. But it did pretty well. I think I really would have preferred to go back to the redundant breaker system. That was great. I think I'm going to do that now.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up because in hindsight with my decks, I only had 1 of each breaker. And I talked to you guys about this. I had 1 of each breaker and then my 3 special orders. I'd same old thing as well. So if I get and I think that was my biggest downside in my runner deck, which only had 2 wins on the day. So it was definitely my problem. In that, more than just the redundant breakers in case of program trashing, I'm not so worried about that, but I just couldn't get them fast enough. In Worlds, that was a big problem for me.
Right, right. Yeah, with redundant breakers and 3 special orders, it's just bananas,
Right.
You get what you need really fast.
I remember watching that Min played a game, I think it was the one against Dan, before the finals, and he had all his breakers out, I think by turn 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched that and I was just like, oh, that's how you runner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this build also, at the time, it had 3 legwork and 3 R&D interface. So once you've got the breakers out, you just start putting down the hardware or using legwork.
And just start going accessing all
you just
the cards.
Go nuts.
Right.
It was really good. But it performed a bit slower. I also had to play Zach in the 4th round, Zach Kavis. Going into the 4th round, I was in the top 12, and I sat down with him and just totally came apart with my game. I decided to apologize to him because I had played so poorly, where I was like installing astro scripts behind enigmas that I couldn't res.
That was good bluff.
It was laughable. Yeah, no, he went right for it. I think I also installed an astro script naked, and he.
Well, that sometimes works.
Yeah, which is kind of where I was going. Also, my brain was just scrambled. I wasn't really thinking very well. very clearly. So I thought, okay, this is a thing. People do this, I suppose. But also people run on naked remotes and then they score astroscripts.
Yeah.
The second game against Zach, first of all, Zach was really, really great. Like a really sweet guy, really nice, a really great player, and also really great to play against. The runner game, my runner game against him was fantastic. I think I really made him work. I had sneak doors out, I had HQ interface, I had R&D interface, and he was just really spending a lot of time trying to shore up his centrals, because I could come in any way I wanted and look at multiple cards. It felt really good, that runner game. But eventually, his NEH deck gets what it needs. Antibiotic. It was a good game. The NEH deck that I used, like I said, it had a single Jackson Howard. I really didn't want to put two in there, but I was concerned about noise. I was concerned about getting agenda flooded, but I wanted to make room for economy. And
so is that, sorry to interrupt, but is that usual for the World's Near Earth Hub builds, that they would only include like two Jackson Howard? Do you guys know?
Yeah.
Mine
I'm
had
sure
three,
people play
but
3.
Yeah, from what I saw, people were running 2 or 3, mostly 3.
Yeah.
I know in my Blue Sun deck, personally, I ran 2. I saw it in really super fast decks, just in general, not exclusive to NEH. People were running 2, otherwise they were running 3.
Sure. And John, did yours have 3?
I have 3 Jacksons, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here.
I had 0 going before Worlds in the deck. I had no Jackson Howard, and the deck did really well locally here. We played a couple of decent sized tournaments before we left, and the deck was winning a lot of games. I mean, it only lost 1 game in that 22-person tournament that we played in Berkeley.
Right.
It was fantastic.
Do you have I interrupted you there a little bit, Jackson. Did you have more you wanted to talk about NEH, or?
Well, I think what I took away from Worlds as far as the NEH deck is concerned was that I had taken out Lotus Fields, and I think it was a mistake. I think Lotus Field is a really, really big problem for runners, and I would have left it in. Had I been smarter about it.
Tell me about it.
Wes is just laughing.
Okay. Yeah, I actually didn't have any Lotus Fields in my deck either, although I didn't notice that to be a problem myself. I didn't really hit any Yogg players or anything. I think Yogg at this point is so far out of the meta because of Lotus Field that I kind of just was able to use that to my advantage a little bit.
Yeah, just a comment on in my Blue Sun deck, Lotus Field is my best piece of ice, hands down.
Wow.
There's no question about it. I mean, it's ridiculous because worst case, what you do is you throw it out on a remote server as an investment, and they have to immediately get the icebreaker for it. And with Blue Sun, I also run Wendigo, so if I can do it with Lotus Field, or I can do it with another piece of ice, and they have to get a lot of icebreakers very fast, and it's very troublesome for a runner.
Right.
Yeah. I went for a couple of Architects, and I had 3 Ash and 1 Biotic and 3 Eli, and that's where all my influence was. But I think, and the deck kind of revolves around that whole Ash situation and being able to sneak or surprise a runner with Architect, and get stuff out that you need, that you can score, or that will just put you ahead. A couple of interns to bring stuff back, but I really think Lotus Field would have been, at least one of them, would have been a great decision.
And John, were you using Architect in your Corp deck?
Yeah, I ended up with 2 of them, I think.
Okay. And so what was your decks basically? Because it's a question I'm trying to ask and failing.
I mean, NEH was everywhere. I was just part of the crowd. But I did. I actually cut Lotus Field from my NEH. Maybe that was dumb. I don't know. And I took the 2 influence and I put in a toll booth and I put in 1 snare.
Oh,
because
interesting.
I like having just 1 card surprises.
Did that get anyone?
The final cut. And I don't think I used it maybe 1 time the whole day, unfortunately. Right. I heard saw it, but in testing, I would get so many awesome plays out of it, And because people, like you said, need to check remotes. If you don't check a remote, someone pushing an Astro script out that time. So it'd be fun to keep in hand, but it'd also be fun to just stick out there, knowing they'd run it on like click 2 or 3, and then they'd set them back, and that'd give me a good opportunity to, if they didn't have time to clear the tag, close accounts, or usually set something up for next turn. So I liked it a lot.
Okay, so you used it mostly for tempo, and then you had closed accounts to execute on it as well.
Yeah, most good runners don't run with less than 3 cards. But against NEH, you will catch people running with 2 cards because they're keeping their hand low because of Sweep Sweep anyway, and they think they have your influence pegged. And I did have runners running against me with 2 cards that could have died in R&D. I was crossing my fingers, man, a couple games. I'm like, please, right now. And sadly, with just one in the deck, it's not likely to happen. But sometimes it's just so much fun when it lands.
That's interesting because you seem to like those one-of cards, one-of surprise cards in your deck.
I mean, I am more of a...
He brought Kraken to regionals.
Or whatever.
We have another visitor here.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. What deck did you play at Worlds?
Yeah, you're funny. So I will let Andrew talk about his decks while I put her back to bed.
All right, Andrew, what do we got with Blue Sun? Did you already talk about your decks?
Sorry, say it again?
Did we already ask you about your decks, or we just skip you?
No. They asked me what I played, but then it was we'll move on. So the game deck, like I said, the weird part was definitely around doppelganger, bank job, security testing. My reasoning behind that was that combination of cards was able to allow me to get money and actually do what I wanted to do and have money to run. Also, easily, just as a note, best card in the deck, Sneak Door Beta. If you have not realized that, please. It is so good, and especially against like NEH, where typically their golden play is like hedge fund, ice. You just install Sneak Door, you get 2 back because you're Gabe, and then you're getting a bunch of cards, and that was a really, really good combo in Worlds. It was very successful.
And you're also pressuring archives where you wouldn't have that early pressure on archives usually, outside of maybe Data Sucker.
Yeah, and also, again, with Sneak Door, it opens up emergency shutdown, and against NEH early, if they're Resident Architect, which is 4, or Eli, which is 3, you are shutting those things down very early.
Right, just bring in their econ.
Early, if they're clicking for their whole turn, or even if they only have like 1 pad campaign, that can be really crucial and really opens up a window early, which is nice.
Yeah, Sneak Door is that's what Zach beat me with. I had killed his Yogg and Mimic with an Archer way back, and he had basically just been drawing cards for 4 turns.
Yeah.
And I was scoring agendas. I was up to 5 points and had the NAPD in hand, and he banked enough credits to install Sneak Door and run, I think, once or twice on that turn, and he had just enough to get the NAPD from my hand that I had just 1 next bronze in archives for, because I already had him pegged as not having it since the game had gone so long.
Right.
It's really good.
And he was Andromeda?
Yeah.
Yeah, you also just sometimes don't see it with Andromeda.
Yep.
Yeah, it's people frown on it in Andromeda, but like I was saying, that I changed the legworks to HQ interface, and so if I get a couple of those down and then I plop a Sneak Door down, you're scrambling. The corp is scrambling to figure out what they can do. It definitely slows them down.
Yeah.
You don't want to double ice archives just in case Andromeda has a one-of Sneak Door or whatever.
Right, yeah, and that's something I did learn from Worlds, especially in runner decks, is the higher levels that I played, people were actually running interfaces rather than events because it was a constant threat. It wasn't like, hey, they've played this event once, now they're going to sacrifice their whole turn and 2 turns to same old thing. It was like, hey, I'm going to spend a click and see 2 to 3 cards, deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Just as a corp, if you know that 1 more R&D axis can very likely lose you this game, it's like then you have to be like, okay, I'm going to install a 3rd ice on R&D. And you can start making decisions like that you don't want to make.
Great. And then for my Blue Sun deck, so I played a weird Blue Sun deck. Most of the ones out there have operated off of Oversight AI and Big Ice. I didn't find to like that. I felt that Oversight AI was too big of a crutch and too necessary to really be effective. I played 1 Blue Sun during the tournament, and I absolutely crippled him with 1 emergency shutdown. He oversighted AI at Hadrian's Wall. I shut it down. He had no credits. He had 1 less oversight AI, and I could just run where I wanted.
Right.
So my approach with Blue Sun was to have really powerful ice that was anywhere from 3 to 5 credits that would allow me to play a lot of ice, but it would also allow me to pull off the Sea Scorched combo with relative ease, because 5 credits is very significant. Even with Magnum Opus, you still have to think about 5 credits. That's a big deal. So I was running things like Lotus Field, Hive, Changeling, things like that were very good, that kept a credit barrier there and really made the runner care about not only icebreakers, but making sure they had enough credits / getting Blast Grade out so that I didn't just scorch them.
So, other than Sea Scorch, did you have any like tricks in your deck, or was it really just Sea Scorch threat, score agendas, like old style Wayland?
So I had one trick, which is usually I like running a lot of tricks because I think that's a really cool part of Netrunner. Is there's bluffing, but there's also tricks, but there's also standard good play like fast icebreakers that are efficient and that you can get out quickly, like in Wes's deck. So I had one Biotic Labor, and that was crazy because I could fast advance an agenda out, but I could also pull crazy antics like get a Bio Labor and then Sea Scorch on 3 times, or do a variety of different things that allowed me to really change the game very quickly. Also, Biotic Labor and Blue Sun, because of its variability, you can... The problem, I thought, with original Wayland was that you would either go for scoring agendas or you would go for killing the runner. Blue Sun is very good because it gives you the credits and the ability to change which way you're going to do that very quickly. It gives you the ability to, like, okay, instead of maybe doing agendas, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to threaten the Sea Scorch because now I have an additional 5 to 10 money. That's a big threat. Or I'm going to be able to just Biotic Labor an Atlas out or a Hostile Takeover or Posted Bounty because of this extra money. So the one Biotic Labor was humongous in my deck. I had 4 Scorch kills in Worlds, and 2 were related because of Biotic Labor.
Wait, so how did you Biotic the Scorch kill? You had 3 Scorches in hand?
So, I mean, people were trying to keep up with money, and they were assuming Sea Source, Scorched, but I was able to Sea Source, Scorched, and it was a huge deal. I pulled it off twice, and that was a very, very significant deal breaker.
That's impressive, considering a 1 of Biotic Labor. I guess your games, did they seem to go a little bit longer than, I guess, compared to NEH at least?
Certainly compared to NEH it was, but honestly my biggest goal at the start of a Blue Sun game was get an Alice out with 2 tokens. Because worst case, I just use it for money and then I just score stuff out. Or I can pull a Biotic and do some type of jank where I or score an agenda.
Sure. So let's move on to another topic. I wanted to, and John, I want to talk to you first about this, but I want to know how the pressure of playing in Worlds was different from regionals, was different from normal tournaments, etc. Like, did that affect you? Was that a factor, etc.?
I played fine through the Swiss. I felt even when I got up higher in the standings. I think the least fun I had was when I had to play Kenji because I didn't want to beat him because he's from LA, but also I didn't want to lose games. So like that sucked when I 2-0'd him. But through the Swiss, even though I was like up climbing up the tables, I was just like, nah, this is fine. Even when I sat down at the first seed to play Min, right? And I didn't feel like I was under any kind of,
just another game.
Just another game, pretty much. Taking it one game at a time, pretty much. And even after I lost, my NEH dropped a game to his Andy because he's very good, obviously. And then I had to play his PE, which you'd think would put you kind of off, right? You just lost a game, and now you have to go against someone trying to murder your face. But I just dismantled him, and his PE was good. He was beating everybody with it, right? So the Swiss was fine. The next day, top 16, not so much. Man, I so wish this could have been like regionals where we played the Swiss, and then we stayed up till 3 in the morning and we played the cut because I would have torn people up, man. I swear, I'm so much better. You make me go back to the hotel and lay in a bed and not get any sleep because I'm thinking about stuff, and then have to get up in the morning and sit down cold at a table with a good player. I lost the first game. I played against Thomas, I want to say, his Tenon deck, and I picked to run. Now, Corps were the dominant faction all through Worlds, and you saw the top 16 cut shake out where whoever got the Corp basically won, right? And I purposefully chose to run against his Tenon because I felt that was actually a favorable matchup to me. And he had like a Stim Shop Chaos deck that looked very fast. I hadn't got to play him. I had just seen him playing near me and heard people talk about it, even though you're not supposed to scout, but it happens. It's inevitable. And it just looked terrifying. My NEH, I'm not the greatest NEH player, so I was thinking I'm a pretty good runner. I think I can take his Teta deck. And that game, I swear he drew every piece of money and ice in his deck before any agendas. And there was nothing I could do. And it was very frustrating, and it put me a little bit on tilt. And then I had to play as my NEH against Elad, and the game came down to like the last turn, and and he knocked me out.
Yeah.
So I was definitely on tilt a little bit that second game, especially as we were on camera, and I had just lost a game that I was thinking I had, and then the cards didn't go my way that game, I felt like. And he's a very good player, obviously, too, which makes it harder. And I think I probably made a couple of mistakes. I actually Ben recorded the game, and I'm gonna once he gets it done, I wanna see it because I want to go back now with hindsight and look at it and probably like smack myself in the face multiple times, like why did I do that? So I remember sitting down to play my second game, thinking I want that first game back so bad, and so in the cut, it definitely affected me a little bit. Yeah.
How much sleep did you actually get Saturday night?
I didn't get much sleep the whole weekend because I don't travel well, but I probably got about 3 hours that night.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I was already tired, so.
Saturday was a rough night for sleep. I mean, I didn't make it to 16, but I kept thinking back on like specific mistakes or specific moments after the Swiss rounds that I really would have wished I had done differently. There was a game in the 6th round where I was at 6 points against a Nisei deck. There's actually a write-up about it on Team Covenant. This guy, Kevin Cook, piloted it very well.
Kevin.
It was great. I had 6 points. I had cards. There was only 3 minutes or so left in the round. I got anxious. I ran a remote, and it was this psychic field. I lost my hand, and he nearly impeded me at the end. He decided to tell me that he had agendas in archives.
Oh.
And there was like maybe 2 face-down cards in archives. So like I was a little bit worried about going in there during the game because I didn't want to get, my face blown up. But if I had just run that, and then after that even he asked me, he's like, did you consider like stalling for time or whatever, just waiting the game out? And it had never occurred to me that I could just like sit back.
That's
because
you're too honest. See,
Well,
that's
and that costs you a point. It costs you a point to do that, so.
Exactly. I could have just taken some credits or whatever and let him do his thing.
Because he was at 0, right?
Yeah, he was at 0 points, but he could have also like Ronin me or something. I don't know. There was a couple of advanced cards on the table.
Sure.
So he could have very easily killed me. But I decided to go for it, and I lost. But yeah, I mean, just even not getting into 16 Saturday night was tough trying to get sleep that evening.
Just too much
I don't know about you guys, but
it's just too much Netrunner. Your mind's just saturated in it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going so
Right.
much.
I'd go for 4 days. I do it. I do a 1 week, like 7 cuts. Let's have 7,000 players. Yeah, let's have like 10,000
Lucas
players.
would be fine with like 30 rounds of Swiss to determine who's the best. Because
top 4.
He doesn't
30
have
rounds, top 4.
the more Swiss, the better. So,
Yep.
So Weston, does the pressure get to you at all, or are you just more
think
Netrunner?
I think it helps me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if any of you were watching. Right before Worlds at like 10 in the morning or something, I played a game, just a practice game with this guy, and was just being dumb. Like, running unresed ice last click and letting him score Astro off of Architect, and just something
I think
about
I watched you play that game. Yeah.
Oh, it was.
That table.
I was just so bad. But I think the pressure makes me actually be more like intentional about what I'm doing and thinking things through better. And I'm sure I made mistakes. I made some plays I shouldn't have. But overall, I kind of just zone in really hard and focus a lot more, I think.
Right.
I understand that because who was telling me? Somebody was telling me that like I'm totally different when I'm just talking versus when I actually sit down to play a game in Netrunner. Like I'm a totally different person. So
Yeah, but you have moments, John, where in between like turns, you're chatty and stuff. Like, this is something that I observed. And I'm not sure if it's a mechanism, like a device that you're employing to relax yourself or sort of distract the other player. But like, you're very personable in between turns, I think. Like,
no mind games. Yeah, I guess that's just my personality sneaking out. But I don't know. Some people, yeah, some people are very focused, right? But
Just real quick, like I would say that if I have any advice about playing Netrunner at high levels like that, or playing in large tournaments, is to do it as often as you can. Like it definitely, like going into Worlds, I was way more relaxed than I had been. I started playing about a year ago, a little bit less, like maybe 9 or 10 months. And I was terrified the first tournament that I got into.
Right.
It was also like a 25-person tournament, but I was just terrified. But after doing this over and over again, like and getting used to the feeling and the sensation, and reminding myself to relax, like Worlds was not the same at all. I was very relaxed during Worlds.
That reminds me of my first Netrunner tournament I went to. I remember, like, I played competitive video games, but never competitive card games. And so, like, the first game I played, I remember my heart rate was just super high, almost that whole game. And the first few tournaments, that kept up. Like, after the first game, I'd be fine. And now, yeah, I'm just totally at the point where it's just another game of Netrunner, right? Even at Worlds, it really didn't get to me.
I was still really awkward during store championships in the spring. You know, it was all I could do to keep my hands from shaking, and like, you know, I didn't remind myself to breathe enough, you know, just to get the oxygen into my brain. Like, it's just awful. You got to control your body, otherwise you're not going to do well.
How about you, Andrew? Any pressure?
No, I agree with John that. So I think my strength during the regionals in California was. So Noah, who's not here, and I, we both, to the surprise of others, kept playing in between breaks.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I asked him, I was like, Noah, why are you playing
Yeah.
Netrunner? He's like, I gotta keep warm. Gotta keep warm.
Yeah. People were like, no, don't do that. And I didn't do that during Worlds, and I actually really regret that because my games were super fast. So I had one game that went to 20 minutes remaining, and that was a different thing because of air. But all the other games.
New building.
Okay, let's move right past that.
All my other games were 25 minutes or less, the whole thing. So I was sitting for a lot of the day, and I look back at that and I'm like, I really wish I kept playing. I like to keep fresh and to just keep doing it.
That's interesting. I guess you and Noah could have been there playing the side game while waiting for the next round to be calculated.
Yeah, we really should have been. And it was funny because we both were on the side for quite a while. So
yeah,
really could have.
I think, but Noah, I think so this time was the first time that I had spent my time in between rounds not thinking about games prior or the ones that were coming up. I was just listening to music, thinking about things that I needed to remember, like breathing, playing the board state, remembering my triggers, and not rushing myself. And you know, you guys were great because I didn't want to talk to you at all between the rounds. I didn't want to talk about where I was or where I was going to be or what was going to happen if I lost.
I think somebody told me not to like talk to you because you were.
Yeah, that was me. No, this is a funny anecdote. Like anecdote.
His friends like, don't even look at him.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. I picked up on that. Like, I think I asked you at some point, like, how you doing? And you said, I don't want to talk about it. I'm superstitious. And from then on, I was like, I was defending that. I was like, don't talk to Calvin. He's in his zone. And we were all speculating because we noticed you were high up the rink. We're like, holy shit, he's doing really well. This was like round 2, round 3, and so
I was top 12 into round 4.
You were dead to us.
Yeah. I mean, you guys were fantastic. I appreciate that. Like,
I was completely
without
oblivious.
measure.
Yeah.
So I think Noah.
I say hey because Brian's like, no, don't even look.
Don't
look over there. I was like, okay.
Brian's my bodyguard. So I think Noah was also in the same space where he would take walks.
Right.
You know, like he was trying to like refocus and get ready for the next round. In this particular case, I don't know what he did at Gen Con, but.
Hey Wes, didn't you take a jog at some point?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I noticed like so contrary to these NEH players that don't know what they're doing, my decks did not win in 4 minutes. I had a lot of games that went down to the last like 5 minutes. Just because when you're hacking agendas to data dealers so you can get one R&D run on 3 archers, it takes longer. And so
wait, you're gonna have to explain that.
So in the winter tournament, the day before, I played Elad from New York, the guy who won Canadian Nationals last round.
He had one down the
and I won. It was a really close game. It was really tight, but I ended up winning. And then Saturday when we played, he told me, and it was true, that he put Data Dealer in his deck because he wanted to deck me. He didn't think he would be able to get in. And during our match, fourth round during Worlds, he ended up sacking 3 agendas during the game to Data Dealer.
Wow.
And then afterwards, he tweeted about this afterwards. After Worlds, he dropped 2 account siphon from his deck, from his Andy deck, to put in another Data Dealer and something else.
Okay, if Elad is watching right now by chance, massive props.
Yeah,
That's badass.
Yeah, curse
it
him
was
for
good,
beating
though.
me, but he played good.
Like had he not had Data Dealer, he would have had, I think, no shot in our game.
Right.
He had to sack it to gain the 9 credits to get another run on R&D.
Plus, we should thank Elad for beating me because I did get to watch the rest of the football game.
Yeah,
So, you know,
he's great. Yeah,
that was all right, I guess. I wanted to play Matt though, man.
Yeah, I took a walk. I realized that I'd been basically just sitting at a table for 6 hours, and I was just breathing the same air. So I went outside and just jogged around the parking lot and came back.
And it was cold. It was 30 degrees
Yeah,
out.
I mean, that was all. It was it. Like I don't get like in a zone and focused and silent when I'm playing. I get like super like
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. I get like jumpy almost, like all this energy pent up. And sitting down for the lunch break, I just kind of got too relaxed. And I didn't want that. I want to be just like on edge because like that translates into the game to me. And so I walked outside with no jacket or anything, just kind of took a walk in the parking lot, froze myself to come back in and kind of be jittery again. It was
So
good.
I wanted
Yeah,
to.
it was decidedly un-California like weather.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one way to put it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this is something I was noticing a lot. On Sunday, when all of us but John were out of the tournament, we mostly were just watching games, and I think I gained a new level of respect for those players I was watching. Like I believe I'm a good Netrunner player. I don't win a lot of tournaments, but I consistently do well. But those players are on just a different level, and I wanted to see if we could try and like nail down why that is. Like, how could I be like them? Basically, help me out.
Well, let's talk about how many good players didn't even make it to
Oh, it's amazing.
Sunday. There's so many very good players that didn't
Right.
even make that cut. Cut to 16 was rough. And
Well,
then
Wes,
16
you were
didn't
like
even get
31,
playmats.
right?
Not that I'm bitter.
You wanted to
Yeah, I
play
was
them.
31st. I mean,
Yeah,
we
cut
don't-
to
you don't have-
32.
you don't
West
have
would have
to-
been in.
you don't have to bring it up every day, Calvin. It's okay.
It's exciting. We did well.
No,
I think SF Bay Area like represented very well considering.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was watching Min play in top 16. This was not one of the games on camera. This was a game he flatlined, and I was so fascinated watching him because like he was doing things that I just like. I don't play PE. I've played it before, but I don't play it a lot myself. But like I feel like I understand the basics of PE. But there's just like things going on that I didn't understand. But he clearly had a reason for doing it because I mean, look how far he got. It's like the play I'm thinking about is he had I think like 2 Ronins in hand. I don't remember much else. I think he had 1 remote out, maybe none. But on his turn he did some stuff and then he installed a fetal AI down in a new remote. The runner at this point was at like 4 cards. So, and I was at like 1 point already. So it was just an interesting play to me. And like I don't think I would do that in that circumstance. Like just kind of, you'd want that to kind of buff HQ a little bit. Like they're spending money to get through. They're not gonna have enough money to steal it. And I think he was playing at a different level. Like the purpose of him doing that was because he was thinking about 3 or 4 turns ahead and where that attrition, what that would do. I don't know. Do you have any like thoughts on that specifically, or just other kind of plays you were seeing, other ways that people were playing in that top 16?
You played him, John. What was?
I did play Min, and I beat his PE, and I don't remember. I mean, Deus Ex is good, I guess. Nobody in America runs feedback filter. That's the problem. I don't know. Like, that was some interesting conversation about
Oh yeah.
how the European meta was all on feedback filter, probably because of Min and his stupid "I'm going to murder you" text. I don't know, but like apparently that like America is just kind of behind, a couple weeks behind the meta there, and we weren't ready for his crazy new PE because we're all used to Chris's Cambridge version, right, which has the overriders and stuff, and this other version is just different. However, I don't know. He only lost, I think, 2 games with that PE deck. 1 to me, haha, and maybe 1 more somewhere else. I'm just laughing because on StimHack he said something like, "I lost 1 real game and like 1 that counted."
All right, I saw that.
He totally dismantled
any
it.
credit.
Whatever. He was a nice guy though, but very good players, I think one of the things that's important is that they play a lot of Netrunner. So they see a lot of different matchups and a lot of different scenarios, right? They play their decks a lot. They're very familiar with all the different permutations that can come up in a game, right? Like, because you have to think multiple turns ahead and you have to consider multiple scenarios. So if you haven't played through those scenarios before, you're at a disadvantage compared to somebody that has seen, you know, every kind of runner that can come against this PE deck, what they could bring to the table, whatever it is. You kind of know what might happen. So I think that's an important part of it, is that you have played, you know, just that many games where you're just more familiar. You're just almost more instinctive about what to do because it's something that may have happened before. I thought I was reading that whole speech. Not. That's good.
Another thing you can do is, like, I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of people that watch this video, watch, you know, the tournament videos that come out or people's podcasts or whatever, listen. But there's a difference in just watching them for entertainment and watching them, like, to notice things or to think about, like, why did that happen? Why would they do that? You know, okay, this is what they chose to do. What the results of that? What are they thinking later on? And so watching videos with kind of some kind of intentionality behind it is also helpful, whether they're yours or somebody else's. I know Zachary Cavus. I'm going to say his name 1,000 times.
He's going to come up a lot.
He's so good. Yeah, he's amazing. But he actually doesn't play as much as a lot of us do because he doesn't have a group where he's from that plays regularly. That's what he said he did. He just watched a lot of videos. That was basically his main means. If you're in the Virginia area and you play...
So he's getting that same experience by seeing those scenarios come up, even if he's not actively participating in them. I had that same problem where I don't have pretty much anyone out here play with without driving for an hour. And so I do the same thing where I read a lot and I watch a lot. Because having that exposure to those, you know, different deck types and different play styles is very important, I think. So,
if you're in Virginia and you play, message one of us, and we'll hook you up with somebody who you can practice with.
Your game will probably improve.
Can we talk about Octagon briefly? So I've never played on Octagon, and I almost don't want to because I don't want. Part of me is like, well, I'll develop bad habits like through the automation of.
Yeah, you'll forget triggers and.
Right, which is a huge problem for me. Like I need to remember that shit. Even though I play like all the time.
Watch language, sir, please.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding.
It's a family channel.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just screwing with you.
You know, but after this, like, I'm thinking I need to get a hold of a copy of Windows so I can boot my Mac up and, you know, start playing Octagon. Yeah. It seems like most people, especially in the top 16, and I think Dan commented on it recently. Since Worlds, like, it's huge. You see a lot of different variants.
Somebody
you see
said
a lot of cards. You see a lot of different decks.
They bet for sure that whoever won was going to be on Octagon, right? I forget where on StimHack somebody said, like, I guarantee you whoever wins Worlds will play on Octagon. And Dan has played on Octagon. He didn't play as much recently because he was just playing in person a lot, he said, but he definitely is known, obviously, online and on Octagon.
Yep.
And I think there's definitely something to that. Like I said, it's very difficult to get that much good practice in just locally, unless you're very lucky and live in a really, really good meta. Right. To get the kind of practice that really helps you, face a full field.
And that's nothing about Octagon specifically. That's just coming back. It's just like playing a ton of Netrunner.
Yeah, it's just volume.
Yeah, I'm not like promoting Octagon specifically. I'm just saying, like, the more opportunity you have to see a variety of decks and play against a variety of people, I think it's just going to help you.
Yeah, what we're actually promoting is FFG's, upcoming for sure. Upcoming.
Well, that's secret. That's secret. We're not supposed to talk about that.
We're promoting everyone everywhere picking up Netrunner cards so that everyone plays, so that there's a local meta everywhere that's really good.
Go to your game shop.
Everybody buy core sets.
Get off Amazon. Go to your game shop. Give them some money. It's their job.
So that's worth money. This was a similar topic of what we were just talking about. But so after Saturday, most of us here, John was out trying to get sleep, but we stayed up and we watched the 2012 Worlds game. We watched the first game of the finals of Worlds 21, and the most notable thing about that game is it's an hour and a half long.
An hour and 35 minutes, yeah.
And there's
it's one game. It's one game, right?
It's one game. Yeah. We didn't watch the match. Yeah. The match, I think, probably went to 3 games, I imagine. But
it was like 4 hours long total, 4.5.
Yeah.
So anyway, like you should all watch that game because it's super interesting. But
It's very entertaining as well.
yeah, like I remember because Calvin and Noah at least are somewhat new to the game, so like there's a snare in HB and they're just cracking up. They can't figure it out. Like what is the end game there, you know? And it's just like we were telling them that's just what you did back then. Like
Yeah.
you put snares in your deck. It was the right thing to do. But
No,
I
I
want
feel
to
like
talk about that.
when I first started playing early 2014, snare was a thing in HB. Like I feel like it was like people around here, anyways, just had snare and HB, at least like a one or two of.
Right.
Because you're trying to get in. Like they've also got biotics. They're trying to fast advance things on Sansan. So you're pressured to run, and then you're clicking through bioroids, and you've lost your turn is compressed, and you hit a snare, so you're tagged and you're screwed.
You're just having a bad time.
It's just beautiful, yeah.
It was extra bad back then too, when you
Yeah.
didn't really have counters to snare as much. So what do you guys think of the state of the game now? Just like looking at that game, and yeah, Andrew, do you want to comment on
Yeah,
that?
so I had a really interesting experience this past weekend at Worlds. So, I mean, just to preface this, I'm a huge proponent of traps. I love traps. I think they're the best part of Netrunner, arguably.
Yeah.
Like either traps or just doing really weird stuff to throw people off. Anyways, so I played it in both the winter tournament, which was the kind of casual tournament beforehand.
Nah.
The day before.
Casual.
Yeah, there's asterisks on there. But the quote-unquote casual tournament, the winter tournament beforehand, and then the actual event. Honestly, the hardest game that I played out of any of those days was during the winter tournament, which was the tournament beforehand. And every deck that I played was interesting and had something weird to it and had a trap. And the deck that I played that was the hardest was a manhunt, city surveillance,
Yeah. Dedicated response
U
teams.
NBN deck that was just horrifying to play. And it was because it totally threw you off. I mean, like, you knew you had to run stuff, and you knew you had to go places, but you knew there was a threat constantly. And I thought it was really interesting because that put so much pressure on me, and I was how I played was completely differently. Like versus the Swiss on the first day of Worlds, I was calm. Like I was like, okay, wow, I need to get a code gate breaker. I'll go get that. Versus like the winter tournament, I was like, oh shit, I could lose next turn. Like it was very interesting because people were playing weird and unusual things, and I loved that. It was much more uncomfortable than the actual tournament, in my opinion. So
I think that was a factor. I think that was an aspect of that winter tournament. People kind of not wanting to play their main decks, so you can't scout them and things like this.
yeah,
You guys, I don't know who you were playing. I was playing like the same stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I was playing
A lot.
Jesse Vandover in his 2 Worlds decks.
A lot of tweets before the tournament, like 2 hours before that tournament. A lot of tweets. Winter tournaments tonight. Lots of people talking about fun decks. I'm not here for fun. I'm here to win.
Seriously.
So
Good
I
man.
was talking with Dan about his deck during the winter tournament, and he was playing a 7-point combo deck out of CI, and he did really, really well. And of course, he didn't do anything like that during actual Netrunner tournament. And yeah, it was just a very interesting difference of perspective between those 2 days, which I really loved. I think that was awesome.
Do you guys feel that trap play specifically has... I don't know, like I remember in the core set, traps were like a big deal. And maybe it's because back then that was the main threat. But do you think that like there's not as much trap play now? Or is it not as viable? Or I don't know. Is there any... Like I'm just thinking of the evolution of the game in terms of traps specifically here.
So, well, that's a great point because look at the finals, right? The finals were RP versus PE. Dan's RP has, I think, 0 traps. It is straight up mean ice and money, right? And just smart play. And Min's is just, I'm going to murder you wherever you run, trap after trap. So, both obviously are very valid, right?
Sure.
I think the traps are very situational. So I kind of had a weird experience where, like I had, like in my Blue Sun deck, for example, I had 4 scorched kills on the Swiss day, which is very significant, I think, because it's kind of trappish in the fact that like I want you to run and I want you to do things so that you kill yourself, quote unquote. But it wasn't like I was doing something crazy, like I was mooshing a June bug and you just killed yourself. Like I think it was more of the trap definitely was a completely took a backseat, and it was kind of something that was there, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm going all in on this. I'm just going to play traps, because I had a agenda point victory as well, and so like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That kind of there's an analog of that in my deck where after maybe me and the runner, if I'm playing my corp deck, my HP deck, we both have say 4 points, or even at 5 points, it's even better. If I install face down on my remote, it could be the game if you don't run it. But there were times where I would just put an Adonis on my turn, Adonis campaign in my remote that has an archer and a couple next dice on it. And if you don't run it, maybe it's agenda and I win. And if you do, you just spent all 14 of your credits, and now I can just score the agenda next turn. And so it's not so much that it's a trap in the sense that it's a June bug and you're going to die, but it's a trap in that
trap.
If you decide to go after it, it could hurt you long term.
And when I used to play infill, like that was one of the main reasons I ran it, is at that point in time, and this is probably like a year and a half ago, like that style of play, build a big remote and put something like an Adonis in it to open up a scoring window was really popular. And so you needed the infill just to like not waste your money. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So I would say in some sense, like regardless of how the meta shifts, that type of play is going to be there. Whether it's like in Min's deck where, oh, there's a Mushin card. If I don't run it, he scores 2 points. Or if I do run it, I lose 6 cards. Like that's a different type of trap, but some form of that's going to be there, I think, no matter what.
So right here on this video, I wanna give people the #1 secret of how to beat my deck. My corp deck, which is it's Near Earth Hub, and so like you gotta assume it's fast track Near Earth Hub, is actually mid seasons, and it went undefeated in Swiss. Yeah, and there goes Weston. So
close.
The #1 trick to play against my deck is when I mid seasons you, I'm gonna make sure you have at least 12 tax. That's assuming that you pay into the mid seasons, right? So I'm gonna make sure, like, if I can do it, I'm gonna make sure you have exactly 12 tags. Maybe I'll go up to 13. And so at some point in the game, all you have to do is clear a tag, just one. If you have 12 tags against NBN and they don't have any agenda scored, all you have to do is clear 1 tag, and I would just be like, what the fuck? Why did you do that? That's unacceptable. You're not supposed to do that. But no one. I won 2 games. Psycho Beal out at 13 or 12, and then advance, because people just don't really think about that, I guess. Anyway, that's just a pro tip I'd give people out there in terms of having exactly 12 tags. You should be suspicious of that.
You gotta still be careful, people, if that's your strategy. Because I had 2 tags, not 12. I had 2 tags.
That's all I need. That's good enough.
And it was still bad.
I psychoed out an NAPD on a Sand and didn't even care.
It's just stupid.
So why don't we start wrapping this up? One last major topic I wanted to talk about was, did any of you guys make it to the hot tub?
Oh.
No.
Yeah. Me and Cortez.
I brought 1 drink.
You brought 1 30-ounce drink.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, that's 1 drink for Andrew.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was phenomenal. We were the first ones to the hot tub, surprisingly.
That was really disappointing.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be quite a crowd there. And actually, it's funny, we were in the hot tub, and then Dan, the winner, popped in to the room, and he was like,
backs out.
I was like, we're not that cool.
Yeah.
No, I missed out on the hot tub. I had the most fun playing draft in the hotel room. But they had stolen some tables and brought them up to the room, and we just crowded around these little tables and we're drafting, and with the new draft set, which is amazing. And we were just drunk and laughing our asses off, kind of unwinding after just a crazy weekend. And yeah, it was some of the most fun I've ever played. It was amazing. I kept frame jobbing Ben's. I frame jobbed like 4 times in one game, and I kept blackmailing him. Oh God, everybody was just laughing.
Wait, so you built a frame job blackmail deck in this draft?
Draft with Kraken, and I played Kraken like
well, of
twice
course you
on him.
picked Kraken. You had 2 Krakens?
Of course, I had 2 Krakens,
Yeah.
2 frame jobs,
John
a bunch
does
of
like that
day
Kraken.
jobs. Boom! It was the best deck ever. And Ben was just like, "What are you doing to me?" I seriously, I think I forfeited so many agendas that neither one of us could win anymore. And
Well, you're going to win then.
it was great. It was so much fun. So it was that was a good way to. That was way better than a hot tub for unwinding after a long Worlds weekend.
All right, guys. I think we should end it on that.
Well, first, before we do, I just want to thank. Well, first, John, great job. Like it was. You weren't doing that well at top 16, but I really enjoyed watching you. You know, like it was great to have like a local boy in there.
Props to Timmy, my friend from LA. He tore it up.
Yeah.
So.
If you can get a hold of Timmy and somehow convince him to post his fucking deck list, like it seems to be MIA.
He's been
Absolutely.
posting on FimHack, I thought. So I'll
Really,
see what's
I
up.
haven't seen
You
it.
have to double
Anyways,
check that
I
one.
don't know if he actually posted his deck list, but I thought he posted it a couple times on.
yeah, but
FimHack,
thanks
so,
to Wes and Andrew and Brian and Noah who couldn't be here for this. We did a lot of great testing. We had a great time up to World, in the lead up to Worlds. We had a great time at Worlds. It was tough spending the money going out there, but I don't regret it by any means, and I wouldn't have changed anything. Like it was amazing. It was a great time. And everybody else, like FFG, was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Lucas was really personable and great. Everybody who ran the event was fantastic. Geez, I know I'm forgetting something, but it was an excellent time. Really, really great.
Yeah, the FFG Event Center, it was all pretty smooth, I thought. I'm sure there was some problems here and there. But yeah, they did a really good job hosting everyone and getting things moving. It's a 7-round tournament, but they kept it moving as fast as they could. We did have one idea that they need to put pairings on a website.
Yeah.
So if anybody from FFG is listening, put your pairings on a website between rounds so that not everyone has to go up and look at 2 sheets
I'll
of
just
paper.
check on their phone. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
look on
yeah.
your phone, get your pairings. Like, it would just smooth. I think that would probably cut it down like 10 minutes per round at least.
Whose idea did you just expose?
That was my idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll make sure that happens next Worlds. We'll figure out how to make that happen somehow. But yeah, definitely thanks FFG for running the whole thing.
Yep.
All right, and thank you guys for joining me on this. Probably what ended up being a lot longer than what we were attending, but
An hour and a half.
yeah, whatever. If people are still listening to this point, that's their prerogative.
They're all
no
asleep
problem.
now.
That's their problem, right? All right, thanks a lot. I actually have 3 games recorded from the top 16.
Nice.
I was watching 2 of them live, and they're fantastic games. Like, I can't wait to get them online. They're so good. So we'll have those commentated pretty soon and get them online. And that's kind of what's going on in the next week or 2 on the channel. So
Nice.
thanks for watching.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.